Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Muhammad Bilal and I am recording this video for etution.pk requirement for tutor application. So the subject which I have chosen over here is accounting, and the topic over here is disposal of capital assets. So whenever in accountancy, whenever in business, you dispose of an asset, you have to record certain entries in order to close their asset accounts and as well as the depreciation accounts, and then you have to find out whether you have incurred a profit or loss in the transaction of the disposal. Now coming on, how do we account this disposal of the capital asset? Now the first thing is that you have to remove the original cost of the asset in the non-current asset account. So you have to close this account, as well as you have to close the accumulated depreciation account by removing their amounts as well. Now how would you do this is that you simply open up a disposal account, you transfer these both amounts into that disposal amounts in the step 2, and lastly you find out whether you are gaining profit or loss in those accounts. Now this is the mathematical abbreviation, a mathematical calculation of how you do it. Simply, this is the cost of the asset. You minus subtract the accumulated depreciation, so you get your carrying value over here, and then you subtract the proceeds, the disposal, and then you get profit or loss on the disposal. So this has a certain thing that you're uh, whether you are in profit, whether you're in loss, if your carrying value is more than the disposal, then you are obviously making a loss, and if your carrying value is less than the proceeds, then you are making a profit. Now coming on towards, let's see an example over here. The example is of non-current asset account. Non-current asset costs around £14,000 and the accumulated depreciation cost £9,600, and it has been sold for £38,000. So what is the profit and what are the relevant ledger accounts which we need to make in order to make up this entry? So firstly you see the non-current asset account and the accumulated depreciation account, and you make certain entries. One entry over here of disposal of, I guess it was, yeah, 14,000 amount would come over here. So this asset account gets closed, and the accumulated depreciation of £9,600 come over here, the debit entry. So these accounts get closed. So debit the once you debit the accumulated depreciation account and you credit the non-current asset account, you open up a disposal account. Now these are the entries: the disposal and the credit non-current asset, debit the accumulated, credit the disposal. So there's this disposal account. Now what happens over here is that, let's see what happened. This is the disposal account, and what happened is that you made an entry of cost 14,000 and accumulated depreciation came over here, a credit entry, and this is the cash which you receive. Now you see, you 1400 40 sorry 14,000 minus 9,600 gets to around, or it gets around 4,400, and 4,400 of carrying value is more than the cash which you are receiving. So obviously you would get into loss. So this is the loss over here of 600. And let's suppose that the accumulated depreciation over here increases to 12,000 pounds, and the cash now you are getting is 3,800. So what happens is, now you see that since the net book value is 2,000 and the cash which you are receiving is 3,800, so you are actually gaining a profit of 1,800. Sorry, of 1,800. This is your profit. So this is how you count up for disposal account, and this is how you close it. So let's see another example of the and sometimes what happen is that you part exchange the asset. Now in part exchange, what happens is that you give up your old asset, and you get an allowance of that, of a new asset, and you get, for that allowance you get a reduced value of the new asset which you are purchasing. Now let's see, there is an example over here. How do we account for it is that the old van has cost for 22,000 pounds and depreciation cost for 1,500 pounds, and the allowance was of 700, and the price of the new van was 5,000 pounds. So what happened is that, simply, which I have explained previously, is that first you close the old vans account, you would do a credit entry over here, you would do a debit entry over here, and similarly you would open up a disposal account. So this is over here, disposal account, old van debit, accumulated depreciation credit, and the new van account gets open. Now what happened over here is that the new van is of 700. This is the allowance you get. So you get a profit of the all accounts. Okay, so what happened over here is that you open up a disposal account. Sorry, the old van was credited, and its account got closed, and it gets debit over here in the disposal account, and the accumulated depreciation of it got credited in the accumulated debit credit accumulated depreciation account for the old van, and it came credited over here, and the new van's allowance came over here of 700. So what happened is that on the old asset you actually gained a profit of 200 due to this allowance of 700, and in the new van, when you open up the new van account, you get a disposal amount of 700, and you get an allowance of 700 over here, and its original cost was 5,000 pounds if you want to purchase it, but you would purchase it for 4,300, since you got an allowance of 700 when you disposed of your old asset for it. So these were the two conditions under which you account for uh, the disposal of the capital assets. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.